The first topic is philosophy, the darshan. Second topic is what? Creation, the sequence of creation. Third topic is Devata, the deity and the worship of that deity. Fourth topic, the process of personal and self-transformation, upasana, sadhana. And fifth topic, sthiti, how to maintain the state you have gained and live in that state for a long time, for long periods, for a lifetime. Starting with 1 month, 1 day, 1 month to a lifetime. And these 5 topics which are covered, I'll give you a brief about them before going on to the subject. Philosophy, the first topic. Very basic, very simple, very clean. Tan, expansion of consciousness. Tra, liberation of energy, freeing the energy. Tanoti and Trayati. Tanoti means to pull, to expand, to enlarge. Trayati means to let go, to release. So the word Tantra has come from these 2 words. Tan from Tanoti, Tra from Trayati. And it is in relation to the development of consciousness, realizing the supreme transcendental consciousness within oneself. Second topic, creation, subject of creation. How can the unmanifest manifest itself? What is the sequence? What is the procedure? What transformations have taken place before the unmanifest became manifest? From nothing into millions of forms, in millions of shapes, in millions of identities. The third, Devata and Aradhana. The focus of each Tantra, which deity, who is the deity of that Tantra, and how to propitiate that deity of the Tantra, to create an environment at home, in family, in society, in community, to create an environment which is conducive to positive inculcation, constructive and creative imbibing, and proper expression of thought, word and deed. Fourth, upasana. How to purify oneself internally, how to manage the mind, how to let go of the tamasic nature, how to cultivate the sattvic nature, how to disconnect with the world of senses and sense objects and connect with the higher tattvas. That is upasana. And fifth is the sthiti, maintaining and continuing the state of attainment, of realization. And the question has been asked on the sequence of creation, because here, according to Tantras, from the cosmic state of non-being, non-existence, 36 tattvas emerge. And the emergence of the 36 elements, the 36 tattvas, indicate the sequence and the growth and the development of life. The non-being coming into being. But first you have to understand what is the nature of Shiva. In the transcendental state, Shiva is in perfect equipoise in samadhi, perfect balance, perfect harmony. There is no agitation, there is no movement, there is only pure Shanti. And that Shanti is known as Samyavastha, the state of bliss, the state of peace, the state of balance and harmony. In that state of balance and harmony, which is known as the Param Shiv, exists another aspect of that. And talking to Rishi Vasishtha today, he said, Shakti is reflective consciousness. And I like that word, usage of the word, reflective consciousness. Because consciousness is there, which is the Shiva. But then consciousness has to see itself. So Shakti becomes the mirror and reflects the image of the consciousness back to consciousness. So when Shiva sees his own reflection in this mirror of Shakti, he is in bliss, Ananda. But when the Shakti turns around and the mirror faces outside and Shiva is unable to see himself, then the state of Ananda is gone and Shakti becomes active in creation of the worlds and life. So Shakti is the reflective consciousness. It reflects the nature of Shiva and the nature without Shiva. And this union of Shiva and Shakti also indicates the presence of Chit, Anand, Iksha, Gyan and Kriya. Chit is that the power of revelation. Anand is the power, Anand is the absolute bliss. Iksha is the will. Gyan is the knowledge. And Kriya is the ability to take on many, many forms. And these 5 aspects or potencies also remain inherent in this transcendental state with Shiva and Shakti. They are the expressions of Shakti, but in state of peace. Now, the first vibration happens in this beautiful tranquil lake. The first movement occurs. And that first movement is the first vibration, the first spandan, which has been identified as Om. Even in Shiva Puran, they say that before the manifestation of Shiva, before Shiva revealed himself in the mind of the sages heard the sound Om. And from the sound Om, they saw Shiva emerge. This is the story in Shiva Puran. So Shiva represents that first vibration, the first spandan, and the first creative movement which gives you the awareness of I, Aham. And the second tattva to emerge after this first vibration is the Shakti tattva. Because Shiva represents the I, that first bubble. And Shakti tattva then manifests to say this, identifying that, idam, this. So the identification takes place between I, self-conscious, and am. This means am. I am. Right? And then, third to emerge is the identity of truth, Sadakhya. I call it the identity of truth because that highest consciousness is called Sat, which has been given an identity, Sat Chit Ananda. So, Sat, the truth, I am, I realize that I am, is the realization, the third tattva. The fourth tattva is Ishvara or Ashvarya. Ishvara is more identification with individuality. I am. This I am. This I am. It is a deeper identification, more intense identification. But here still the identification is of omnipotence and omnipresence, despite being called Ishvara. There is no loss, there is no binding yet. Kanchukas have not come into play. Ishvaratva, the omniscience and omnipresence with individual awareness continues. And the fifth is the Sadvidya, meaning the true relation of things is experienced. The true relation of things has to be known. What is my relationship? Not with you, a person, but with higher self. How do I connect to that? Sadvidya means realizing the deeper connection, the true relation of things. And these are the five pure elements that emerge and which are cosmic and universal in nature. Then after these five pure elements come the mixed elements, pure and impure both. And this mixed elements, pure and impure, is actually Maya. Because here now Shakti manifests as Maya. And remember what I had said, Maya means to measure. The idea of Maya is that it limits everything that it comes in contact with. It is like a container. Waters are plenty in the ocean. You dip a bucket, bucket becomes the container. Water comes inside the bucket. That is Maya. That is one way of explaining Maya. Maya limits. It is the container which defines and determines and binds. And this Maya comes with five kanchukas. Kanchukas means binding ropes. The first one is Kala, because it reduces or it limits the Kartritva, the authorship, the universal authorship of the cosmic self, of the Param Shiva. Next is Vidya. Vidya means knowledge. But Vidya limits omniscience. The moment you say Vidya, the moment you say knowledge, you are limiting omniscience to some specific subject. Third is Raga. Raga is a connection with senses. And through senses you connect with the world. And with this connection through the senses and the world, the sense of the feeling of the state of contentment goes from life and desires come forth. And next is Kal, because it reduces eternity. The eternal life of spirit is reduced and confined to this experience of life in this body. And fifth is niyati. These are the 5 bindings of Maya. Niyati is, it reduces the freedom and the pervasiveness of the spirit. Swatantrata and Vyapakta. So this element of Maya, of Shakti, becomes the power which is used to now create. To limit that cosmic experience into an individual experience. And in this, the tattvas of limited individual come forth, which are Purusha and Prakriti. Now this Purusha is the individual subject. Every sentient being is a Purusha. Every sentient being, every sentient form is a Purusha. And Prakriti. Prakriti is the objective manifestation of Shakti, constituting the 3 gunas. The Purusha, the sentient being, and the nature of that Purusha, the 3 gunas, this is Prakriti. I am saying in very brief, in one sentence. And the difference between the concept of Prakriti in Sankhya and the concept of Prakriti in Tantra is also there. According to Sankhya, Prakriti is one. But according to Tantra, every Purusha has one Prakriti. Every Purusha has one Prakriti. You know, when God made the world, He told man that you will find your perfect female in any corner of the world. Man thought God was going to create the world as a square, but then God made the world round. So now there is no corner in the world. God made the world round. But the idea is that every Purusha has his Prakriti. Every Purusha has his Prakriti. Purusha is the consciousness and Prakriti is the nature of that consciousness, the expression of that consciousness, the manifestation of that consciousness. And then come the tattvas of mental operation, which are Buddhi, Ahankar and Manas. Chit is already latent and it has come before. Now comes Buddhi, Ahankar and Manas. And after the elements of mental operation have come into existence, the 5 tanmatras emerge. The 5 Gyanendriyas emerge. The 5 Karmendriyas emerge. And then after the emergence of the tattvas, which are 15 in number, 5 tanmatras, 5 Gyanendriyas, 5 Karmendriyas, which are the tattvas of sense experience, we come into the tattvas of materiality, material tattvas. And the material tattvas are space, air, fire, water, and earth. So these are 36 elements according to Tantra that have emerged, that has emerged from the state of pure transcendence, non-existence to existence. And now, it is the permutation and the combination of these tattvas that give birth to a form and life. And when we are given a form and a life, what do we become? We become Pashu. Pashu is translated in English as animal. Even in the dictionary it says Pashu is an animal. But Pashu also means something that is bound, limited and confined. And this individual soul is bound by the 5 kanchukas of Maya. And because of the binding of these 5, we are known as Pashu, the bound being, not the free being, but the restricted, limited and the bound being. And Pash, the bindings are the kanchukas. And Pati, the master, is Shiva. So here we see a sequence. Shiva at top level. Then the nooses which bind the individual soul, the Maya. And the individual soul which lives in this world as a bound being, Pashu. Now, just reverse this process to become liberated. You are Pashu. Identify what your bindings are, the 5 kanchukas, and work with each one and gradually untie the knot. It will take time, but untie the knot. Some people can do it immediately, some people can take months to untie one single knot. And some people can take a lifetime to untie a single knot. But these knots have to be removed for the spirit to become free and to realize its omniscience and omnipotence, and realize that it is a reflection, a projection of that transcendental Shiva consciousness. And once that realization takes place, the body is transcended. The knots have been removed and one experiences freedom. One experiences expansiveness. And this is the theory, the subject of creation in the Tantras, in brief. And there are, of course, many other questions.